Thank you.
So, Islam and Christianity are two sides of the same coin. What do you have to say about
Yes, yes. Though my study on Christianity is not widespread or too technical, but by studying Western philosophy and the basic ideas of this Greek philosophy that we see, Plato, Aristotle, come. Aristotle is usually considered the father of science, because he brought that universals that Plato put out of the world, and Aristotle brought it back into the particulars and universals that we do. So from that, I understood that whole the metaphysics that they have, how they look at the world. So then as if I understood that these two philosophies, the ideas of God are quite similar. The idea that the birth is from certain kind of sin, and Islam being the youngest of this Abrahamic tradition, all those ideas were available when the messenger or the founder of that religion, or whatever we want to call that person, when that person picked up, so those ideas would have been available around them. Many other ideas also would have been there. So I think so they have quite a lot of similarities. Still they are different. That Islam, I would say, is somewhat more. Uh, I don't know if should use that term. It's more gross, more superficial than Christianity, in the sense that it makes the treatment of the infidels or the kafirs or the pagans it makes it much more serious. It makes it much more violent. It makes it much more stricter. So in that
it? Would
sense,
you
I
like
think
to
that
call it much more primitive than Christianity?
yeah, they are much more primitive. Yes, though later in time, but primitive in ideology.
They haven't modernized. They do not want to modernize their philosophies, at least. So they're sticking to the original, I would say, than Christianity. Christianity adapts itself.
So there are a few similarities and also differences as well. We can see differences are in a different context, but similarities we will. I'll point out few similarities which are clearly there present in both these ideologies. So one is the idea of this, as I said, if you offer certain kind of practices, if you discipline yourself in a particular specific manner specified by the book or the custodian of the book or the interpreter of the book, then there is, merits abound for you in that heavenly space. If not, then there are very serious, grave punishments that you should be ready to face. These two ideas are specifically present in both these ideologies. So, one is this similarity. Second is, as I said, that the idea of this infidel and the kafir, the person who doesn't believe. First, they have told clearly that this is the thing, this is how it is. In Indian philosophy, we take Shabda Praman also, but we include Pratyaksha Praman, perception also, along with the word. And then, as we said, that there is an internal self introspection aspect also. Here, too, there is no question of this soul and all. Soul is, it has to just make that journey once you are done, and it will go to, as if it's like a number for you. It will hold your position in the hereafter, whatever that is. Here, the word is the ultimate, the most primary, the most supreme, at least for Islam. If it's not for Christianity, please correct me also. The word is the final thing, and it has to be followed as it is. It cannot be changed. In context of Islam, so you just can't touch even one full stop because it's been given by this ultimate creator. You are nobody. You can't even create paintings for like for him also, and like him also, because he is the creator. He has put all these colors, he has done all this creativity. So what creativity implies, that you bring something new in existence. And that is the basic idea of these two religions, that there is a creator, and that creator created something which is not necessarily part of his own material. Because if it was him, then he would have been here. He would have been in the pig also. He would have been in the stones also. He would have been in the infidel also. He would have been in the kafir also. But that's not the case. The God is separate from you also and from the creation also. And he is the original, authentic, genuine creator. You are only an imitator, like how in Plato's philosophy it's there, that world is an imitation of this world of ideas. It's only a poor imitation, he says. That's why art, he takes it very seriously, that art be controlled in a clear manner in a society, in a ideal republic. His dialogue, we know, Republic dialogue, masterpiece. Philosophically, he is very good, I would say. He cannot be compared to these. He has his own position, perhaps one of the greatest by now. But these people twist it and turn it according to them and fix it. The whole metaphysics they fix according to the book. They don't go by Plato's logic, because Plato idealizes everything. Even love he idealizes. He doesn't say it's there. Only soul can access, he says, but he doesn't give clear definition that no, this is the way it should be done 5 times. Sunday you have to go, you have to get, dip into water and eat this particular wafer, etc., etc. So there is no parallel, just the metaphysics is picked up. So this merit and punishment comes first when you fix the metaphysics that this particular God is there. And then the second point is the pagan hate, I was saying, the repulsion also to other practitioners, and the treatment meted to be meted out to people who are going away, who are rebelling as if from this particular ideology.
You mentioned that everything that came in the form of this book, word, came from the ultimate creator, and nothing has to be changed. Yeah. Can be changed, should be changed. Are you saying that nothing has been changed in the last 1400 years from the Quran?
No, I can't claim that also, because we have certain manuscripts which are which have different versions, which have certain sections, which have some differences here and there. So I've not researched in that.
Have any verses been added to it and removed from it?
I think so. That is the case. That's what is coming out. That there's one manuscript, I think Birmingham manuscript or something like that it's called, where only certain chapters are available which are not as primitive as the version that we have right now.
So they've liberalized it and adapted basically to the times.
I don't know if this can be called a liberalization, but the old manuscripts are somewhat more liberal in that sense.
Oh.
This one is the old manuscript one. The original, the oldest one that is available, that has only certain chapters which does not have these majority of the jihadi parts that are missing from that. Even that is adopted, the whole ideology will take a very different shape.
Okay. Why I'm asking is, you said nothing should be changed from what the creator gave to them, their creator gave to them. So I thought nothing has been altered in the Quran, like so much has been altered in the Bible. So that I'm trying to draw a comparison between these two books. Yes.
No, that is the perspective of a Musallam Iman who has sure belief. So whoever follows that, whoever does not question it, believes that this is the word of God as it is, which is now. And I think majority of the Muslims in the world, I would say 95%, or rather more, except the manuscript, it's same, consistent all over the world. If somebody tries to change it, then they are thrown out of that, out of the fold of Islam. They are no more. They are actually mischief maker. Very seriously, they are dealt with. Because the problem is that now historically, so there are great big holes, very deep holes in that whole historical setting that this religion has come into. Because first, historical evidences, as far as I know, my knowledge is very limited, I would say, comes post 200 years from the prophet when it was written about him. The carbon dating also has not been done. We don't even know whether something is there or not. So with these kinds of problems, then how can you say? And different kinds of views have come. If we just take the book also, book itself is problematic. If we just take the book also, that is problematic. Then this tradition, hadith, and the sunnah is his behavior, the collection of his behavior, what kind of ethics we can derive from it, and hadith is his traditions, whatever he was doing, noted down. And then there is some historical evidences also. They come much later from the founder of this religion, if we can call it a founder. And this book is not given for us also. Like you said, God has sent a word for you, but book came to the messenger, a special person, and that person has given. So belief is there now. This belief is the problem. No, it can't be changed at all, can't be altered at all. Actually, if we see historically, then there is a possibility that what they have, because it was organized by the third, fourth caliph, the third, fourth follower who was more imperialist, not imperialistic, politically active. So they, because there were different versions available, it was written on pages or some leaves in different points of time by people who were who could write. So they were noted down in different spots. They were collected because there were different versions and put together and made one version consistent. Rest all the versions were burned, like how other books are burned. Other religious books also should be burned because they consist of something which is not necessarily needed. Whatever is needed is present in the book. So from there, it's just going on and on and on.
So continuing on the similarities, you said the punishment, the merit and punishment,
Yes.
the hellfire
Yes.
basically, or the heaven, eternal heaven. The
Yeah.
second is repulsion to anybody who doesn't subscribe to their idea of God and creation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
continue that list.
Yes. So one very important thing I want to point out, the similarities between these two. Uh, Not even, they cannot necessarily be even called different sides of the coin. They are just the same. The whole thing is that this pagan hate, this aversion towards idol worship. This is ingrained and the basis of these two ideologies. In Islam, the sin of committing idol worshipping, it's called shirk. And shirk is the worst sin a person can do. God, who is the Almighty, all merciful, there's no limit to his mercy, will never forgive if you worshipped an idol. So, this pagan hate, paganophobia, if we say, or kafirophobia, or in Indian context, Hindu phobia, clearly, or any kind of idols. This is totally inbuilt and a very main tenet of these two religions, which I'm now these days I am thinking that we should, academically identify this pagan hate that is present in these ideologies. How idol worshippers are demonized and uh, as if there is a kind of repulsion.
Let me ask you a theological question here. So you said
Hmm.
generally in organized in these Abrahamic religions, God is limitless in his mercy, in his power, in his omniscience, in his might, in his providence. He is just limitless. But you see a tremendous limit in him forgiving those who worship idols. So
Yeah.
he is limited in his forgiveness. Doesn't
Hmm.
that disqualify him from being God?
Yes. So God works in mysterious ways. You and I can't understand all that.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah, no
why
contesting
this
that
mystery
fact.
is there. So this repulsion, this we always have to keep in mind, considering we are living in a multicultural society and there is constant interactions with people of different beliefs and faith. So this is something which directs both these ideologies. This pagan hate, idol worshipping hate. is ingrained in both of them, and very seriously ingrained, and particularly told and taught that this has not to be done, and whoever is doing it also is committing a sin which will never be forgiven, never ever. And both are organized on one book, as we said, or multiple books, but books are fixed, and the interpreters of the custodians of those books also are holy and fixed. Nobody can challenge them, and that challenging itself is problematic. Much more serious, I would say. I don't know now Christianity, because we are seeing different kinds of reformations in that, but in I don't know even this is true or not, because there's so much deception in covering the ideology in a new cloth and serving the same old rotten material. So the book and the pagan hate, and the idea of merit and punishment, and another is both are highly political, rajnaitic. They want to rule. So we can say they are expansionist, and they are also imperialist, because the creator God created the world for you.
The dominion theology,
So
everything is made for you, everything is made for
yes.
your benefit. This entire world is for you. I mean, because the earth has been specially designed with favorable conditions, with
Hmm.
conditions favoring human life.
Yes.
So God has prepared this place. So of course it was for you. You are so special that God, yet you are a sinner. That's a different angle to
Yes.
that theology. But as far as the species on this earth are concerned, you have dominion
Yes.
over them, the dominion theology.
Yes. Yes. And this idea also changes the ethical perspective, because ethics depends on different things. One is the society, one is the goals that you are trying to achieve. So when your metaphysics is such that something has been made for you, and specifically for you, and the others are even sinners and then consuming things that belong to you, then your ethics will be much different in that behavior, because
Because you
somebody
have
is.
adopted a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
I can do anything
Yeah.
I want with the species of this world. I can eat pretty much
Yeah.
any animal because everything is made for me. So
Yes.
the sense of
Yes.
entitlement over other
Yes.
species.
Yes. Yes. In Islam, of course, we can't eat anything because of certain particular inclinations of the founders of the religion,
Correct.
but that's another matter. But
Yes.
the world is for your consumption.
Mm.
You can consume to your heart's content, and consume particularly of the people who are lost, like
Yes.
this Hindu phobia and pagan phobia, kafirophobia that we are talking about. So this is kind of inbuilt in Islam, as we say, Christianity and Islam. If we join together, Islamism, it's a kind of ism, both of them. So these common aspects. On the basis of this idea of Hindu phobia, kafirophobia, or paganophobia, infidel phobia, anyone who practices something other than you, because yours is the ultimate truth. This is the main idea. Nobody can deny it. Even any believer, whether good or bad, moderate or radical, whatever, they can't deny the fact that this book calls itself the truth. So when you have the truth and the world is created for you by the creator, for your consumption, you are the people, then everything is in superlative. Everybody else becomes the out group. We become a kind of out group. Whoever is questioning, whoever is following something else, we necessarily don't classify ourselves as an in group or out group. But if somebody else tells me that I am this and this, and if I am not that, I become an out group for that person. So this outgroup that they define, based on that, the consumption, the ethics also comes, the rules of behavior also changes towards a person who believes in the same ideology, and towards a person who does not believe, who questions, who was in the belief and who has gone out. The treatment for them is the worst. They are the most separate category. They have to be dealt with immediately, and full proof dealing has to be done. For example, apostates like me. So their treatment is totally different. But kafir also can be treated. Kafir has to be treated differently because kafir is also lost. Because kafir, can be brought online. This guy who left, he has to be set right, not brought online, but set right immediately. So this kind of ethics is very strange. So these are the goals, as we are saying. The goals is imperialistic, supremacist, because as they are talking about superlative, and then also expansionist, that you keep expanding also. These two ideas are also inbuilt of proselytizing, change other people to your ideas because they are lost, they are committing a sin they don't know. Or
I
when we
don't
talk
know
about
what
it.
I want, but I'm living my
Hmm.
life without knowing what I want, what is good for me. So
Yes, yes,
I need a Muslim or a Christian to tell me what I need and give it to me also.
yes, yes, yes. And even when I deny, also no.
Yeah.
If I say no, I don't want your margadarshan.
Mm,
No, you are lost. Lost person can't see. They are in the dark, and the darkness also God only has put in them.
yes. Strangely,
So
yes.
this is our lot. This is how it is. So the better live it. Best, I thought.
So you talked about you brought in the word proselytization. So how does that
Hmm.
work in Islam? Is it does it look exactly like proselytization in Christianity?
Hmm. So my experience in proselytizing activities have been limited. The community that I come from also, I'm not aware that they are involved in this proselytizing activities. But what I know is that when somebody gets married or somebody gets in a relationship with other person, the usual process is to bring that person here. Going there is a clear no-no, but bringing that person is considered really great. And what I was told is that all your sins will be washed off if one person you have shown light, brought to the true path. Then your sins, all your past sins, whatever worst kind of crimes that you would have done, or the worst kind of thoughts that you would have thought, everything will be given up. Like how when you convert also, all those sins go away. So if you bring an idol worshipper into the fold, idol worshippers sins also are gone. So many sins because that was lost from birth, didn't know. So okay, some kind of free hand is given, some slack is cut. But uh, for the person who is inside, that slack won't be cut. But so this way I've seen proselytizing, that it is a very serious matter. Conversion is a very serious matter. Converting out is a serious matter. Converting in is a matter of happiness and great
Finding the
celebration,
truth.
like. So this is another similar aspect. So all these things, if we put together, it's a kind of fascist way of thinking. These two ideologies, we can identify many traits because the clergy has that control. Because in fascism we see it usually ends up with a dictator. Then certain particular emotions are always nurtured of this supreme. If these kinds of emotions are present in the ideology, whether the person is serious or not, it becomes part of the system of growing up, how we grow up and how we see the world. So fascism, then club it with exclusivism, supremacism, majoritarianism, territorialism, then economic
Imperialism.
imperialism, economic supremacism. So the as we said, the God, the book, the people, and the infidels. So this kind of fascist way of functioning that we see, which is very similar in both of them. Both
Yes.
of them properly functions, take political control, spread religion, geopolitical gameplay also is there if we see internationally. So the similar style of functioning if we observe in both of them, and then change demography of the land masses slowly. Imperialism now, the geopolitical warfare is much different than what it used to be. narrative wars are fought, virtual battles are fought. So in a way, demography also works in a ends up being a very very important tool for propagation of this kind of fascist ideologies. And so change the demography, affect it, and once the demography is changed in such a manner that these ideas can be applied, people knowingly and unknowingly don't know what they are doing, but because they have a sense of this supremacism and ideology is fascist, but they themselves have a sense of exclusivism, supremacism, and the controller is totalitarian. So it can be classified, I think, clearly as a these both these ideologies which we are saying same side of different sides of the same coins as fascist ideology.
So, what differences do you see between the two?
Yeah. So theological differences is there first, though, that son of God is the problem. And I don't know how technically Islam deals with that part of Virgin Mary, but he's not God. He's not directly associated. I think Christianity differentiates these two things, that some say that Jesus itself is that God, and some say no, he's the Son of God. But here, that concept is not there. Then difference is that Jesus is not final. Islam has appropriated Jesus as they've appropriated Moses. Ah, Musa alayhi salam they call, and Isa alayhi salam they call. We even take their name, whether Shia or Sunni, whatever uh, section or the school of thought of Islam they come from, Muslims, they will accept these two characters as their ancestors or as their lineage. So that is another. Now Christians, I think, don't accept Muhammad as anybody coming. Their time ends there only, not because I don't know if Christianity told about someone coming later or not. Probably not. That's why they don't accept. Though Islam keeps claiming that it has been mentioned, and because this book, the new book, mentions that this is the last and previous ones are in the same line, so they claim truth for their conviction or their conclusion. But it's a kind of circular logic, that why God is there because book says, and why book is true because God has given this book. So it goes on in the circle. So this is one theological difference. Now another is the historical conflict that exists between these two, irrespective of the similarities that we are talking about. Because when two, as they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. So one was having fun at some point of time in history. Then one more supremacist turned up, who was inspired by the earlier supremacist, earlier fascist ideology, and from there picked it up and even perfected it, made it more real, and whatever was working in the previous ideology, fine tuned it much more, made it much more clearer that what works, that has to be used. That is some kind of suppression, some kind of fear has to be, as if it decimated in the
Decimate.
society, as if precipitated in the society slowly from the ideology through different measures, as we said, demographic, economic, land features, etc., etc., different ways it has to be done. So this conflict is not internal but among themselves. It's a uh, intra conflict among the fascist ideologies. So there is a lot of conflict and competition among these two, that who should bring more people in the path of light. So numbers game may be there, because both are saying ours is the best. Then uh, both are actually each other's real enemy in some sense, because of Islam, which came later. First they directed their anger at these two ideologies, the people of the book which were there. People of the book are the real ones who have to be brought to light first, because they belong, as I told you, the kafir person who is totally out, is not sinful unless you inform that person. So it's your duty to inform that person that, see, this is the right path. Once you informed, from that point on, that person can be held accountable of not coming on the right path. So kafir is left out, but these people of the book who are in the same land, who are seeing the messenger in flesh or whatever way they saw, or his people, they, after seeing also, they are not agreeing. So that conflict is very serious among both of them. This is a kind of difference among them. uh, Interestingly, curiously, in India, that is not necessarily seen, though they are each other's first enemies, if we say historically, because they have to deal with each other first. But here somehow they both
They
come
collaborate.
together, collaborate even, yes, not even come together, even collaborate. And so this is another difference in themselves. And uh, if a common opponent is not there, then in such spots the
They are at each other's.
ideology
They are after
fights.
each other's blood.
They are after each other's blood, and even ideologically,
Mhm.
historically also we see, and ideologically also they are at each other's throat. They don't accept, because they are supremacists, they can accept nothing. So these are the kinds of differences that is there in these two ideologies.
So basically, they
So as
collaborate.
in India, we are seeing that both of them collaborate. So even from the perspective of an outsider towards these ideologies, we don't necessarily need to separate these two sides of the same coin. That same coin, as we said, could be fascism. That same coin is exclusivism, supremacism, totalitarianism, pagan hate, kafir hate, Hindu phobia. Different kinds of phobias are there. So we can, when we are referring to these ideologies or talking about these ideologies, we can talk about them in the same context, because their behavior is similar and even collaborative towards the kafir or the person who is not in this ideology. So we can refer to them as Islamic fascism or Christo-Islamic fascism, or simply we can just say Islamism. These two isms, the similarities which are there in both of them, because whenever you go to a new land of conquest, historically also we have seen, in the new land of conquest, because the ideology also itself has certain contradiction. Quran at some place says that you can marry from the people of the book if the person is somewhat, clean of heart and etc. At some other place it says you cannot take even any Christians or Jews for your friends. So this kind of contradiction is available in the ideology to adapt differently, to behave in different manners. So when there is a new land of conquest, like for example Bharat, India is a new land of conquest. So there is certain kind of collaboration in, and then they become one, which is this Islamo fascism that we see.
I would say Islam is at play in India, in Bharat.
Islam is at play in India,
I thank
definitely.
you for being here with us and sharing all those insights.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in another episode. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.